It just finished printing out. Okay, y'all. Mm, him. A review from one of the Society of American Magical Negroes. I know it's late. I'll go ahead and get this in, but y'all roll on up in here. You, you're gonna want to see this. It's absolutely amazing. Y'all come on. How y'all doing tonight? Good to see you. Good to see you. Well, first I'm gonna start off with the first thing that somebody asked me about this movie, and it was what were they quietly reciting when Cam came on to the ritual floor? I want to answer that first because that's what took me on this. Okay. And I sat and listened, and I'm like, I be dang. That's the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner. And for those of you who don't know what the third stanza of the Star Spangled Banner says, that's what just came hot off the printer, because that's what was taking me so long. I wouldn't have found it. And where is that band who so vauntly swore that the havocs of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps pollution. No refuge can save the hireling and slave from the terror of the flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. That was the oath that they were reciting in the ritualistic spot. But how y'all doing out there? Let's get into it. Okay, first of all, him is a 2025 metaphysical sports horror. Now, a lot of people are not going to understand this movie. And of course, sports fans are definitely not going to understand it, because to understand it would mean you'd have to accept a couple things about yourself. And it's okay if people didn't like it, because it wasn't a light movie. It was telling you what happens behind the scenes to become a GOAT. Directed by Justin Tipping and produced, not directed, produced by Jordan Peele. Monkeypaw Productions. Starring Tyriq Withers as Cameron Cade, and Marlon Wayans as Isaiah White. They both did excellent jobs. And Marlon, bro, you did that. You did that. I haven't really liked you since White Girls. But I understand why now. And it's not that I don't like you. I do like you. You are an actor. But you also let us in on a couple things. Y'all ready for this? Okay. I'm not quite sure how I want to go at this. And since none of my regular people are in here because nobody said hi, I'm going to go at this the way I wrote it down. Okay. What is the GOAT? The GOAT is the person who carries greatness voluntarily. The GOAT is someone who has to carry the weight of greatness voluntarily. Okay, the movie opens. Little boy sitting in front of the television, and he's watching a football game. Mom's watching a football game. Whole family is watching a football game. One would think that this football game was live, but it wasn't. It was on tape. And Dad, while grooming his child, because some of us think of grooming only in sexual exploits, but grooming happens all the time. You can groom somebody for anything. As a matter of fact, parents are allowed to groom children almost without any oversight. And I say that, put a pin in that, because that'll be a little down the line for a minute. Okay, so while he's watching this game, you can clearly pick out, what's up, Oshun? You can clearly pick out that there is an altar to football over in the corner. And for those of you that have taken my what is an altar class, this is one of those classes where I went over how to spot altars. And altars aren't just religious, which is something I really tried to get over to y'all, because to be quite frank, altars are all over the United States of America and Europe and everywhere else. And we just swing right past them. In some cases, y'all might even call them roadside stops or attractions. And of course, you're like, Fee, you're veering off. Sure, no problem. Mount Rushmore. Moving on. With the altar, the parents, the child is clearly going to be all about football because that's where his reward and attention is. The minute this boy, Cam, decides that he does not want to do football anymore, his father dies. Now, for those of you who are, my magical Negroes, we always talk about the hero's path. And in the hero's path, usually there is a loss of a parent, loss of somebody close, somebody that just really get them heartstrings going, right? And upon his father's death, Cam then comes back into the game. Now, when Cam comes back into the game, he is bona fide the next GOAT. They are hyping him up to be the next greatest of all time. Meanwhile, the current greatest of all time, played by Marlon Wayans, is Isaiah White. Now, some of y'all stay with me, some of you don't. And for those of you that don't, let's see. Isaiah means Yahweh is salvation, or God is my salvation. Hebrew name derived from the biblical prophet. Okay? Okay. White. Do I need to say that again? Isaiah meaning God is my salvation. White. Listen to it again, my magical Negroes. Isaiah White. God is my salvation. White. In some languages, the color comes last, not before the noun. It comes after the noun as a description. Now, mind you, Isaiah has won 8 gold rings and a USFF title. Now, what I couldn't find, so let me go ahead and put this up there. What I couldn't find, but I did see, I caught it quick, is that, hold on, because I got charts. You see this finger right here? This broken finger? That trophy that he got for the USFF is the exact same angle as that broken finger. Is the exact same angle as the broken finger. Which is kind of interesting. Because I know that there are a lot of things that signal people are certain things. Kind of like, this thing I heard about the Italian mafia, and them losing a pinky. If you see one without a pinky finger, that's a marked man. And I don't mean marked as in, ooh, he's going to be unalive. I mean marked as in, you better not touch him. He's initiated in. Wink, wink, hint, hint. So, with Cam being expressed to be the next best, right? Cam gets ready to go home. So, what's up, Libby? Cam goes home so he can finish up some practicing so he can be ready for the y'all have to excuse me. I'm not really good at football terminology, but I'm absolutely excellent at the metaphysical part of this for the draft. Okay, for the draft, right? But that night, he's on his home field, and he's throwing balls at the poles, at the field goal pole, and he's nailing them. Bow, bow. And one of the balls starts spinning on its point, right? So Cam goes over to look at it, and this mascot, put a pin in that, comes out and cracks his skull open. Not enough to kill him, but definitely enough to injure him. Okay. So we come out and we see that he has staples that are now holding his brain together. Metaphysically, one, the staples look like the same stitches on a football. That's one. That's the popular thing that people are saying, right? What I say, that's the same spot where Frankenstein had his skull patched as well. As a matter of fact, my teacher used to tell me that in the Nation of Islam, you couldn't get a part right here. You couldn't have your hair cut and a part be cut in right here because it was a Masonic signaling, put a pin in Masonic. It's a Masonic signaling for amnesia. Put a pin in that. So while he's sitting there, Cam, and he's getting ready to go out for the draft, right? Somebody's doing his hair. And his brother asks over his shoulder, why couldn't this be me? Why couldn't this be me? And her mom looked up and was like, because you didn't have a focus. And then while getting a haircut, the barber nicks Cam's stitches, well, his staples, and all of the hullabaloo from the mom, and they're fighting. Cam just needs everybody to shut up. Okay? And this foreshadows a lesson that a lot of people just don't understand about greatness. And that is the isolation of fame. The isolation of fame is seen all through this movie. From the isolation of the professional football players, from the isolation of the free agents, the isolation of the wives and the girlfriends of the super elite. Hell, the isolation of the super elite themselves. Fame forces you into isolation. Seven, I mean, numerology involved here. During this event, the draft, Cam was wearing the number 7, but his brother was wearing the number 25. Why is that significant? Cam, having taken to the grooming, is now the savior, which is, by the way, the name of the football team. Wink, wink. And not that we're on the Christ journey, we're on the alchemist journey, we're on the hero's journey. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, after Cam doesn't get picked during the draft, they go have a party, right? Cam goes to the party. The only thing Cam can think about is his career is over because he now has a brain injury. Ain't nobody gonna pick him. He was gonna be the GOAT, but he ain't gonna be the GOAT. Not at all. So again, Cam finds himself isolated at a party. So Cam slips into a bathtub. What are you trying to get to, Fee? Bathtub, baptism. Except this baptism is in sorrow and regret. But the brother finds Cam with the phone. It's the agent. The agent has gotten Isaiah White, again, Cam's hero, to agree that if he comes to his training camp for the next 6 days, he'll give him a shot to be on the team. Cam can't say no, didn't say no. And he had to be there the next day. So he goes, right? Now, when he gets there, when he gets there, let me back up again. At the party, as with everything that will distract you, because that's what has to happen, right? You have the honeypots, the women, the jewelry, the fame, the drugs, it's all there, right? But even though all of this is around him, Cam isn't getting what he wanted, and that was to be the GOAT until the phone call. So Cam cuts out, right? Pow! Cam cuts out. Cam arrives at the compound. Nobody meets him at the door. But he has to go through this circle of crazy fans. And the driver tells him that the fans are like a cult. out in the desert. And this is where Marjorie put a pin in her name. This is where Marjorie tells Cam through the glass that he is not wanted there. And again, crazy. When I say crazy, I mean crazy clown makeup, hair ain't been done. They standing out in a freaking desert, worshiping Isaiah. So Cam walks into the house. Now, mind you, y'all, they give you quick glimpses of the whole house itself, but the house looks like a butterfly. It's built like a butterfly. What do we know about butterfly symbology? Butterflies transform you. You go from one state to a higher state. But there's also another meaning behind it. Can anybody out there think about a program that has a monarch as its symbol? Never mind, I'll tell you. MK Ultra. We know these techniques work. We know these techniques are out there. We might as well start calling the symbolism exactly what it is. And in this place, in 6 days, because the ritual takes 7, we already did a day. So don't get confused when I start day 1, day 2. The hard ritual takes 6 days, but the whole ritual takes 7. Okay, we're already down a day. Y'all with me out there? What's up, Livy? With me so far? So Isaiah didn't meet Cam at the door. It allows Cam to walk in the house of his free will. Remember, I said this is all metaphysical, right? Right. Cam walks in the house of his free will. And he walks through the halls of this house alone. And this is where he sees all 8 of the rings and that USFF trophy that's cocked just like this broken finger. And I was like, oh my God, is that a symbol on how people get this? It's cocked just like that broken finger right there. Oh, all 8 rings and a broken finger. Okay. Now, after he walks through the halls of memory, so to speak, Cam finally meets Isaiah, who is in a taxidermy room. If y'all know what taxidermy is, hit a 1. If you don't, hit a 0, and I'll tell you. But if not, we're going to keep going. And Isaiah tells him, yeah, man, while we out here, no phones, no TV, just football. The only thing we do is football. He's like, okay. He's like, it's called just radical detachment. Okay. So Cam agrees. Here we go. Day 1. And it's called fun, right? So they're coaching and doing run work and Isaiah, remember, Cam has a head injury. So Isaiah keeps telling him, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. But they're just running passes, right? Have a pretty good fun time. And then enters Marco. Marco is the athletic doctor that has been taking care of Isaiah all these years. And now he's there to take care of Cameron. So Isaiah asked Cameron to completely strip down. For those of you who are magical Negroes, you understand what this ritual is right here. When they make you strip down. So all of Cam's, and as I put it, Cam was measured and marked and membered. What I mean by that is they took a tape to him. They measured every part of his body that they could they could measure. They marked it all down for proportion. And then, yeah, they even did his member. And everybody had to comment on, after all the measurements was done, why they all felt uncomfortable because he was butt naked. But we all know a good old humiliation ritual when we see it, right? Right. The only thing about Cam wasn't exactly humiliated. And I found that rather interesting. I was like, okay, that's different. So, upon all this, Cam is given a speech about sacrifice and how loving your family, that's one way to dig, but you got to transcend that. You got to find something else deep inside you that can help you transcend that. And then, of course, because this is a ritual, after giving advice, he must be shamed. And then Cam, is this Cam meets Elise? Yeah, then Cam meets Elise White, which is Isaiah's wife. And she starts talking about, put a pin in this too, how the transition of power is never smooth. And on what seems to be a offhanded gesture, the wife hands Cam a gem, and then she tells him to stick it in his rectum. He doesn't. But the end of that day, he does end up in an ice bath while eating on exotic fruits and whatnot, while Isaiah sits over in the corner getting a blood infusion. After Isaiah gets his infusion and Cam is still sitting in the bath, in the ice bath, no less. And I want y'all to put a pin in that too, because what does it mean to be put on ice? And sometimes we have to wonder about where these things come from and how they're served back to us, because Cam is put on ice a whole lot in the coming days. After Isaiah walks out, the doctor gives Cam an injection. And let us remember that in the beginning, again, Cam was in a bath with no water. Now he's in a bath with cold water. And while he was there, Isaiah did tell him, Isaiah stores his blood. When he's at peak physical performance, he pulls his blood off, he stores it. So when he wants peak performance, he re-administers himself his own blood. Which is possible, but I still consider it a form of juicing. Day 2 of the ritual, which is called poise, right? How to make an image. So, Cam and Isaiah are running in the desert and running in the desert full speed, right? Now, Cam is giving it everything he's got, and he stops, and you wonder why for a minute, because Isaiah keeps going like he's a freaking Energizer bunny, man. And it's like, wow, that's dedication. And then you see Cam just, he chunked. He chunked. He chunked and laid out. Not only did he chunk and lay out, he hallucinates. What does he hallucinate? A mascot that cracks his head open. And then Isaiah comes back and tells him, somebody's coming to get him. We're going to get him. You're going to be all right. And he gives him something to drink. Okay. They get on the football field, him and Isaiah, and these free agents show up. Okay. Now, here is where some real symbolism takes place. Here is where masculinity and injury are put to shame. Cam asks why the free agents are there, and Isaiah just pretty much tells them they're here because they really have nothing to lose. It's like, oh, okay. And let us remember again, Cam has a freaking head injury, skull cracked open right there. As a matter of fact, it's been bleeding. And again, what makes the injury joke so funny, you want to hold out? You ain't got it in you? That mess. So, Doc juices Cam again while we watch Isaiah take oxygen or whatever freaking gas he was taking. So, they begin one of the most freaking interesting practices I have seen in a while. And here is where the whipping boy experience takes place. Now, y'all are wondering, what's the whipping boy? Let me tell you. A whipping boy is used so that the king, the queen, or the goat, or him, or her, whoever, is not to be touched. So when him or her does something wrong, The substitute whipping boy or girl stands in. So let's say the future king does something like go in the kitchen and burn it up. Well, the prince's whipping boy would get the punishment. Now, here's the problem. If the king or queen or him or her has no empathy, they don't give a crap what happens to the whipping boy or girl for that matter. And it doesn't teach empathy at all unless you actually have a conscience. So Isaiah tells Cam, does he have the focus needed to do the daggone job? So out of all of the guys that show up, I thought it was really cute that the one Caucasian guy that showed up with his shirt off, he had faith tattooed across his chest. Listen to me, my magical Negro. The white boy had faith tattooed across his chest. And Marlon, I'm sorry, let me not call him Marlon. Isaiah told Faith Dude to get in front of an automatic football thrower. Then he turns to Cam and say, hey man, you have to do this snap throw in under 2 minutes. And every time you don't do it, we're going to take out your boy over here. So Cam's like, nigga, what? What? All right. So they do one, pow. It was pretty good. He do another one, miss. Why does boy take a whole football to the face? Not Cam. The Caucasian, we're going to call him Faith. Faith took a football to the face. Like, wow. Oh, wow. Every time Cam didn't do it in the 2 minutes, Faith took a football to the face. And they were amping it up. By the time he finally got it, homeboy's face was mush. Now, mind you, in the midst of this, right? Cam being under pressure, he's yelling at everybody. Hey, you need to catch the ball. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. Man, Isaiah walked right up on him and he's like, this your fault. You the quarterback. This is all on you. This is all on you. All on you. So Cam stops yelling and finally buckles down and gets it done. Cam walks over to Faith and he's like, hey, Doc, because the doc is sitting there and he's like, come over here and help him. The doc wouldn't even come over there and help him. As a matter of fact, Faith stood up with a mush face and said, thank you for the opportunity to help you. And walked away. And walked away. Now, because his injury opened again, and the doc had to re-staple it. The doc put Cam in the hydraulic chamber. I hope y'all listening to this. When Isaiah comes, he starts talking to Cam. But while he's talking to Cam, he turns up the pressure of the hydraulic chamber. Please remember, Cam has a brain injury. Cam begins to hallucinate. And a speech is given about why the human skull isn't meant to have head-on-head contact. We're not goats, pun intended. Day 3, leadership. Am I going too slow for y'all? Never mind. Day 3, leadership. Training. If training didn't get real that day, training gets real this day. And now Cam is juicing all by himself. This is nothing foreign to him. He's taking the injections. Everything is good, right? Isaiah keeps telling him football ain't no game. Football isn't a game. Football isn't a game. Football isn't a game. It's everything. Okay? Then he keeps asking him, what are you willing to sacrifice? And finally, Cam tells him everything. And Isaiah says, show me. Now, mind you, Cam was juiced right before this. And there's this guy that just keeps hitting him in the head. He hyped, but he just keeps hitting him in the head. So Cam's like, oh, that's what we doing? Okay. So on the next hike, Cam steadies himself for this dude, and they literally go head to head. Blah! I thought it was Cam that went down at first, but it wasn't. It was the other dude, and he's laying there thriving, just oh. And Cam takes his headpiece off, and Isaiah looks at him, and he's like, I lost my head. And he's like, there he is. So Cam's now getting praised. Now, what was strange was over the dude that got hurt. Cam and them started singing this Savior song about amen. All the Saviors say amen, amen. And they're doing this circle pyramid thing over the dude that's hurt. Transfiguration is now complete. Cam has now turned into somebody willing to hurt somebody without remorse. We're getting to it, baby. Cam dreams at night while he's walking down a corridor of different shaped doors. He goes to listen to one, and a football appears, and it's spinning like it did when he initially got hit. Cameras and flashes start flashing, and a bag is put over Cam's head while old white men laugh. He pulls the bag off and wakes up. And I'm like, wait a minute, where have I seen this before? The Weekend. Where have I seen this before? Kendrick. Did Kendrick do one? No, I don't think Kendrick did one. There was somebody else that did one. Dang on the exact same way. It was The Weekend. It's him. But one of those symbols is a bag over the head, which allows you to transcend into your next being. Okay. Cameron is also caught on the phone by the doc, and phones are no. But not only does the cop catch him, the girl outside the compound, Marge and her little henchmen see him too. Okay, because that's just how hard she be watching that compound. Oh, hold on. Injury open, reach out. Where is it? Oh. This was a long one. You think that you're dancing to? Oh, meets Ellie. Yeah, I said that. Her name was Marge. Okay. So I had to make sure her name was Marge. So he was caught on the phone, right? So the doc tells him that he got there because he wanted to heal people. But he just keeps sending gladiators to the pit. And he tells him, I killed myself for this job, man. I can't go back to my family. I can't do nothing but stay here. He told him that it is a shame how talented you are and how he has been prepping him. Being the GOAT used to be a blessing until you have it and have to give it up. That's something that Isaiah explains to Cam, and that he has nightmares that he's sitting on a dirty couch watching what I used to be good at, the brotherhood. From the dark into the light, the love and hate of that balance. And Cameron takes it all in. Then they run down like the pros and cons of family and what had happened. And Isaiah asks Cam, he tells him, you a good dude. Find your way to greatness. Don't be me. Be better. And then he gives him a parable. He tells him, if you're starving to death in a prison, and I want y'all, the 6 people in here, y'all hit that like for me, please. I want y'all to answer this parable. There's no right or wrong. Just think about it for a minute. If you were starving to death and you were locked in a room and somebody came by and offered you food or freedom, which one would you take? And then Isaiah reminds him, do you really have a choice? Now, I looked this test up, right? And I'm like, what's the difference in the 2 choices? What are the psychological differences in the 2 choices? Let me veer off for a minute, right? It's the difference between pragmatism and dignity. Those who would choose food are pragmatic. Not to say that they don't have dignity. It's just that their pragmatism, their pragmatism, there we go, can be put to the side for their dignity. Those who choose freedom choose dignity over being pragmatic. I chose freedom. If you let me free, I can feed myself, even if I have to eat you. You understand? I'm just saying. I'm going for dignity. Oshun said freedom. See, then moving on. After this talk that has been going on in the sauna, Isaiah decides to excuse himself. So this leaves Cam in the sauna. And don't you know it, the creepy freaking Marge comes from under the bench. Ain't no telling how long that woman had been under there. And she attacks Cam. Cam catches her, puts her on the bench, and begins to choke her out. And he did choke her out, right? He gets ready to walk out and he's talking to Isaiah about, oh my God, what is this craziness? Then Marge comes back to life, jumps up with a freaking rock. Isaiah stops her. They have this really culty, sexy, nasty, quick encounter where, he's holding Marge by her neck in this defensive position, and Marge sticks her tongue out and she tells him to. I'm like, oh, what? Oh, no, what am I watching? And then Isaiah gets this weird. I blacked out for like 5 seconds right there. So I'm not sure if he kissed her, then threw her across the room, but my eyes opened when he threw her across the room because I just couldn't take the nasty kiss. If it was a kiss, I don't even know if it was a kiss. I closed my eyes. I just some stuff I'm not watching. And that was it. I'm not. Mm-mm, mm-mm. So he threw her, Isaiah threw her like she was a paperweight up against the wall. And then Isaiah says, and I quote, "When you are a God, there is no peace." I want y'all to stick a pin in that. When you are a God, there is no peace. And Isaiah tells Cam to go on up to his room. He's going to clean up this mess because he owes it to his fans. You know what? Ellie White, Isaiah's wife, finds Cam and tells him if he wants to come party with her and the girls. Well, the party happens with bikini clad women while the doctor cleans up Marjorie's body. Let's just say body. Let's say body. Okay. The doc is in the sauna dancing it up while the girls dance around him, and Cam is watching, and they being all, ooh, they doing the blood ritual thing, right? And then they're like, "Oh, Cam, come on, would you like this?" And Cam's like, "Nah, I got a girl." And I'm like, Cam, say it ain't so. Cam was like, "I got a girl." Good. He took the drink though, and he watched the dance. But he said, "I got a girl." Go on ahead, boy, with your bad self. Shoot. And that, y'all, was day 3. Day 4, resilience. Cam wakes up to Isaiah with a gun to his head, asking him if he had had sex with his wife. Cam's like, "Nah, man, I got a girl at home. I don't do that mess." And then Isaiah begins to ridicule him for that relationship and begins to tell him again that radical detachment, right? And he tells him that leaders must learn to hurt the ones they love. I also heard this philosophy in Alexander. Killers don't care whose feelings they hurt. We hurt. Let's go kick it. And they go to the desert. All right. Now, him and Cam are sitting there talking, and Cam is like, "Yeah, that shit was crazy last night. How about that woman? You killed that woman." Now, mind you, there's other people around. So Isaiah is like, "What woman?" And Cam's like, "The woman." He's like, "What woman?" So he talks to the dude. He's like, "You got everything set up out there for us?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can go." So the dude gets in the little buggy and goes off. And Isaiah says, "Oh, that woman." He's like, "Oh, okay." Now they're shooting rifles, right? So Isaiah sits down and gives Cam the gun. And here is where the wager is made. Isaiah says, if you hit the target, I'll give you everything you ever wanted. Money, cars, bitches, whatever. If I miss, I take your youth. Cam takes the gun. And right before he shoot, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Isaiah tells Cam, if he hits the target, he'll give him everything he's ever wanted. If he misses, Isaiah will take his youth. Cam's like, nah, I got a better wager for you. And he says, if I miss, I'll let you keep your job. And I can swear by all Berlin's ravens that the target that Cam hit was Faith dressed up like a garden gnome. And it was the way it fell over when Cam hit it. So now Cam is juicing all on his own. Now, mind you, this was the symbol for the saviors. Anybody see the Masonic symbol sitting in there? The saviors. Y'all are funny. The saviors. That's funny. Day 5. We almost there, y'all. Day 5. Vision. Can you survive your own death? You got media, press, everything, image consolidation. This is where Isaiah shows Cam off the way that he wants to show Cam off. And then Isaiah talks to Cam about how boys were turned into men. It was like in the old days, boys were taken out and they beat them. They starved them. They smoked them. They gave them hallucinogenic herbs. And after all of the deprivation, all of the trial, all of the tribulation, the strongest of the warriors would come in and bleed himself so the boys could drink that warrior's blood. And then when the boy returned, he returned as a man or a king. Nice. So, and of course, this is media, so Cam has to give an interview. As Cam gives the interview, he talks about his father and his mother. And it almost sounds like one of those Scientology interviews where you have to give your deepest fear, your greatest regret, reasoning on why you do what you do, the logic in which you follow, and your coping mechanisms. And then when the camera pulls back, Cam is sitting as Jesus at the Last Supper. Now, that's what everybody else saw. I saw something else. Not only did I see that that was the Last Supper, I also saw that Cam's dark woman was seated in the Magdalene position. I was like, oh, they really acting up in this movie. Oh, okay. We ain't gonna hold nothing back. Y'all just gonna be like Last Supper. Okay, no problem. No problem. And it was. And after this Last Supper incident, here is where Cam is found pumping some weight. But Isaiah's wife, who is also a handler, walks over to him and asks him, you know what you're getting into, right? You know what? I never heard anybody call her name, but let's see. Let's see. Adrian. That's funny. That's kind of a montage to Adrian Rocky. The handler asked the wife asks him again, do you know what you're getting into? When people ask you that, that's a double-sided question. Because as soon as you say yes, anything that it entails, even if you didn't know, you can still be held accountable for. And then she says, well, if you're tired, you can stay here, but there's a party where you can meet some of the heads of the franchise. You should really come. And he's like, well, shoot, that's what you should have started off with. And he got up and went. Now, when they get to this spot, it's in the middle of the hood. Did you hear what I said? When they get to this spot, it's in the middle of the hood. Did you hear what I said? When you get to this spot, it's in the middle of the hood. And Cam's like, what the hell? Where are we? And she was like, well, for the weird rituals that they do, we want to be in a place where, nobody think we are. Okay. Ellie means light. Got you. So they ask him, he's partying like a rock star. They ask him, he finds the owners. They sit him at a table where he's the head of the table. They ask him, "Are you ready to sign?" And he says yes. And they said, "Let's toast." What does it mean in slang? You're going to be toast. What does that mean? They toast, right? So there's this red liquid in the glasses, and as soon as Cam drinks the glass, Isaiah is in his compound, and Isaiah walks straight up. He wakes straight up. And I was like, that's interesting, because now they are one blood. And just like in Harry Potter, one has to live, so the other one's got to die. Just like in Highlander, there can be only one. I hope y'all magical Negroes are picking up what I'm dropping down. As soon as he drank the wine, he accepted the challenge. Now, as Cam is going through this party, Cam begins to hallucinate all kinds of stuff. Cam begins upchucking gold, diamonds, all types of riches. He begins to upchuck, right? Now, we all know that these are hallucinations. This goes on. Oh, that does that. So, day 6, which is actually day 7 and the final day of the ritual, which is called the sacrifice. Now, mind you, on the cusp between day 5 and day 6, Cam, during the party with the elites, we find out that Ellie decapitates the doc, because during the party, the doctor told Cameron to run. But Ellie heard it. And for doing said thing, the man that wanted to help people heal head got popped off by Ellie. And they hid it under a goat mask that Cam found. And when Cam found it, because I found some deleted scenes, when Cam found it, Cam started laughing. And he started laughing with Ellie. And Ellie knocked him out because he wasn't supposed to see that. So he wakes up on ice, being given Isaiah's blood in an IV. Being scanned. When he jumps up and he falls off the table, he sees a vial that says "run" on it. And for some strange reason, he stabs himself in the heart with it. Now, as soon as he stabs himself in the heart with it, he almost instantly rejuvenates. Instantly. Now, he has on no shirt, he has on cleats and his athletic bottoms, right? So he goes into this room where he finds Cam watching tapes. Isaiah begins to tell him the truth about the goat and how goats are manufactured, goats are made, and goats are made by giving the blood of the old goat to the new goat. And this procedure has been taking place since the Roman Colosseum. So the goat is a bloodline of great athletes. And if you don't take the blood, you can't become the GOAT. So I'll get to that in a minute. Hold on. So these two go into the war theater because only one man can walk out of that theater. And while they are fighting, a couple of interesting things happen. One, I realized that the symbol that I've been looking at the freaking whole time is the Philosopher's Stone. I'm like, this is how they make immortality. Blood to blood to blood to blood. And because they control the blood, thus they control the blood lines. And they can give the line to whom they please. While in this theater of war, Cam and Isaiah fight. Isaiah in his crazy, he breaks Cam's non-dominant arm and laughs about it. Cam proceeds to whoop him stupid with a football helmet that lights up, no less. And what I thought the football helmet lighting up symbolized meant, it was all of the knowledge that these men know. That as a gladiator, the game must finish. And in that, Cameron is reborn in blood. The door opens, he goes down the canal, and it opens into this football field. And this big white goat is behind him. And upon that, he is, let me show y'all the goat, because somebody was like, what is it? It was a goat. Faces down here, horns are right there. That's a goat. It was a goat. He comes out on the field. Well, all of the owners are. And this is on the platform that he's standing in front of. So Isaiah's wife is sitting there in the book while they are reciting the third stanza of the Pledge of Allegiance. And if y'all get a chance, please go read the third stanza of the Pledge of Allegiance. Never mind, I got it right here. Let me read it for you. And where is that band who so vauntly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and the slave from the terrors of the flight and the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph does wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. He walks in, Ellie hands him a pen. She's like, right there, big boy. And he stands there. And she's like, yeah, right there, big boy. And he stands there. And then his agent is like, okay, what are we doing? Come on, man. You know, this is what your father always wanted. La, 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 la. What do you need to do? Call your mommy. Aren't you a grown man? That shame and that ridicule again. And he just stands there. And then he says, your father sacrificed himself for this. And I was like, you know what? I know exactly what happened. I know exactly what has happened. And then one of the trainers says, I'll kill your whole family. So Cameron goes on a fuck you rant. You know, fuck you. I don't like your eyebrows, and fuck you, and fuck you. And then he picks up this pickaxe hammer thing that is the weapon of choice for the saviors, and he slaughters everybody. But I think Ellie killed herself. Ellie tripped on her own dress. Glamour killed Ellie. I don't think he killed Ellie. Glamour killed Ellie. And that was fine because she wasn't glamorous at all. But when I tell you that these rituals are being played out in our faces, and if we don't recognize them, we will fall for them. This is why I've been training y'all. This is why I've been training y'all to see this, because this is why some people went to see this movie and they didn't get it. You didn't get it, sweetheart, because you don't understand the esoterics of movies like The Ninth Gate. Shoot, this one. Oh, Get Out. Oh my God. They did such a wonderful job with this movie, again, from an esoteric standpoint, all I can say is freaking kudos, right? And after everything was presented, Cam comes up right in front of the goat. He stands there and he becomes everything that they said Christ would come back to be. Everybody wholesale. Everybody wholesale. And he took the owner's head right up against the goalpost. I found that really funny because it's kind of an analogy that they can't move the goalpost, especially if they were decapitated on it. I'm just saying. And the agent. Well, because Cam wasn't on that pedestal, somebody had to pay the demon. The demon snatched the agent, blew his crap right up, just gone. And Cam walks out remembering what his father had taught him. No guts, no glory. And at that very moment, the red, white, and blue flies overhead. Y'all, in case you haven't noticed, usually these movies go in another direction. They go with the Isaiahs of the world that take the power and run with it and abuse it. And it didn't happen like that this time. Harry Potter didn't happen like that. These times, they are a changing. Yeah, they're doing whole Masonic witchcraft stuff right in front of y'all's faces. They're not even trying to hide the symbolisms of the journeyman, of the hero. They're not even hiding it anymore. And thank you so much to Monkeypaw Productions for this excellent movie. The pacing was off. There was a lot of things that were off, but they were off so that the general public would get turned off by the movie. But the movie was not made for the general public. The made for the esoterics. Especially us exoterics that live double and triple lives. Those of us that are mainstream, back, right, left, and middle ground. I enjoyed this movie immensely. If you are part of the American League of Magical Negroes, go watch it. It'll do you good. Thank y'all for coming through. I wish y'all had more to say, but I guess everybody didn't watch it, but I did. Go watch it. Go watch it. You know who this is. This is Master Fundi Fee. And every now and again, you know we have to have movie Magical Negro Night. Salam, shalom, inhutepu, namaste. Be good to yourselves. And you will be good to others. Remember this finger and remember that award. I couldn't find the picture in time, but there are a whole lot of things that the human body goes through. that you might think is just something that happened to somebody, but it just happens to be an initiation. Love y'all. Peace.